You're listening to the Coop Homeschool Podcast.
This is your podcast for community, humility, and joyful fun in homeschooling. I'm Mandy.
I'm Jessica.
And this is The Coop. It's giving time.
Yay.
Woo! We're in that season where it's time to give, or at least prepare to give.
Yes.
So we're making our Christmas lists. We're
checking them twice.
Yes. Oh, very cute. So we're going to talk first about the importance of giving, and then giving to people you know, and then giving to people you don't know.
Right.
So let's start off with our scoop on the coop.
Okay, I'll go. So my daughter had been complaining for the longest time that her math was too easy. But sometimes that's intentional, right? Mm-hmm. You know, we want to make sure that they're getting the foundational skills, that they are confident, that they know how to check their work for accuracy. And so I didn't want to skip too fast, you know, but we've been doing a lot of like remedial stuff and kind of just pushing through. You know, I'll skip, you know, really review work, you know, here and there. So we finally got to a point where it's been difficult for her. And we kind of took a long break once COVID hit because that was when it became challenging. And then she was just having some anxiety and some difficulty coping. And so adding something difficult was just not the right time.
Right.
So
that's the gift of homeschooling.
Exactly. We're so blessed to be able to read our kids and to customize their learning. So we put math aside, we dove deep into language arts, but now we've been picking math up again. So we did some more review to get back to where we were. And then, you know, it finally got hard. And so, for the first time in our math program, I've been pulling out the instructional DVD and been showing her those lessons because, you know, I think that for my particular child, she enjoys learning from someone else sometimes. So especially things that she's finding frustrating because she doesn't always want to do it exactly how I'm expressing to her. So the DVD is short and sweet, and it's been super helpful. And now she's getting to that point where she's feeling accomplished by completing her work and doing a good job answering the questions correctly. So that's been
awesome.
really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so funny you're mentioning that because I'm doing my scoop on math too. What? And it's the same math curriculum.
Right, yeah.
And so I just switched everyone over because you had said so many wonderful things about it.
Yeah.
And I've heard other wonderful things about it from others as well. So we both use Math UC.
Right.
And so my oldest is in Gamma, and he's almost done with Gamma. He only has like 5 lessons left.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to Delta, which is division, I'm pretty sure. And then my middle daughter is in Beta.
Right, mine too.
And then my youngest is in Alpha. And the youngest, so my scoop is, she's actually very math-minded.
Right.
And can do a lot of things beyond what I knew a 6-year-old could do. But when it came to this, she was in tears. She didn't want to do it. And she always acted like it was a really hard thing, which I'm like, you do this all the time naturally when we play games. So I don't understand what's going on. And so it's been quite the struggle since September. So finally I said, what is it that you don't like? And for her, she doesn't want the DVD. Which is what I love about it because I love that the older two, I can use it in my stations. They rotate through. So, but she says, I want you to teach me, which is so sweet too.
Right.
So I said, okay, I will watch the DVD. Not that I can't teach 9+1, but to see that how he does it. He says it sucks up the one like a vacuum cleaner, and then everything left over then is the units, right? Right. So that kind of stuff is more creative than I would be about it. You know, I'd be like, carry the one,
right.
You know, so I just tried that and it started to go hard again. I said, well, I can put the DVD back in, and she said, oh no. And then all of a sudden she got to work, and so we made it through like 2.5 of the worksheets. You know, usually I like him to kind of master it in the moment because
Right.
I'm an endurance person. So I'm kind of like, oh, one sheet's not enough. Like,
Right.
let's just master it. So then I don't have to do math for a couple of days if we have other things going on, you know. And then you won't forget it because you already practiced.
Right.
So anyway, so I'm still figuring out my groove with her.
Yes.
And she's 6 and she's in kindergarten, I mean, if you want to call it that. And she needs still to be trained, like how to do stuff in a workbook. You know, I've never made her do anything like that. So anyways,
Yeah.
plugging along.
That's right.
All right, for giving, let's take it away with giving. So first, let's talk about the importance of giving.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to read to you from one of my favorite online magazines or blogs or whatever you call these things. I don't know, but Psychology Today,
Yes.
and it's talking about what is healthy, helping, and giving. But that's not really what we're going to discuss here. But I just want to read what they talk about for giving. It says, human survival will always depend partly on people taking care of one another. People sometimes need our help to overcome undeserved hardship or to change their lives. With our support, determined, persistent people achieve their life goals. A circle of giving in a group or community ensures the success of individuals and groups. Good organizational citizens promote productivity and contribute to positive workplace environments. So this part's really cool.
Right.
Helping and giving dull the sharp edges of a world where innocent people are victims of serious illness, poverty, war, and crime. Helping and giving are human strengths and weapons against the many arbitrary and
Malevolent.
dark forces that plague human existence. We also personally benefit from helping and giving. Helping and giving can provide life with meaning and purpose and can boost our mood, express our values, and connect us to something greater than ourselves. And that's why it's important to master the art of helping and giving. So
Really great.
really well said, all in one little nutshell of the importance of giving. And you know, there are 5 love languages. Have you ever read that book by Gary Chapman?
I didn't read the book, but I am familiar with those love languages.
Okay, well, so our premarital counselors had us read a number of books, and the 5 love languages was one of them. And I don't remember much from it.
Sure.
But there were 5. So I'll just list them right now. Words of affirmation, acts of service, which is a type of giving,
Right.
Receiving gifts,
Right.
quality time, and touch. And so like acts of service and receiving gifts, you know, kind of go hand in hand, you know. And so sometimes people feel love by or show love by giving,
Right.
but they don't always feel love by receiving.
Sure.
So it doesn't go hand in hand in that way,
Exactly.
you know. And then some people never give, but they feel a lot of love in receiving gifts. So you don't always know by someone's gift giving habits if they need to receive love in that way.
Right. The way that we express love is one kind of, you know, love language, and then the way that we receive love, you know, the way that I want to love my husband is often a different language than I want in return, or that he wants for himself. And so I think that's the whole concept of the idea of the love languages, is really just understanding, you know, how to find what people really need.
Right.
And
then still being able to give love the way you need to give love.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm an excellent gift receiver. I have to say that, but I'm also a big gift giver. So I have a lot of friends that probably feel obligated by me because I give. And so a lot of times when I give, I say, and just so you know, this doesn't mean we're ever giving birthday gifts ever again.
Yeah.
Or we don't normally do Christmas gifts, but I saw this for you and I wanted to give it to you because I'm just showing love to you. And so, and then when I get a gift, I'm like, ooh, like I'm like, so pleasantly surprised because there's not this obligatory thing, you know, like I'm always saying, it's not a tip for dad. It's not a tip for dad. Like, so anyway, so just to keep that in mind and look for your children too. What is their love language, you know, and if you want to explore that more, I think they have the 5 love languages for kids as well now.
Yes.
So, So you can always look into that more. But I think most kids love receiving. Doesn't it seem like that's their season of life to be gift receivers?
Yeah, there's, the anomalies who are kids who really need those words of affirmation. And then sometimes they think they love the gifts more because it's, a novelty. It's so exciting. But sometimes you can really recognize those kids whose love language is something like, words of affirmation or acts of service, or time. Time is really important for a lot of kids.
And then touch too, like cuddles. Yeah. So, so just kind of paying attention to your kids in that way and looking to see when they feel most satisfied and loved, All right. So, anything more about that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, there's giving to people,
Yes.
So, what do you do with your kids at like Christmas time?
As far as encouraging them to give?
Yeah.
We discuss, the people that we want. I kind of do it in an unprompted way. I prompt the idea of making a list of gifts that we want to give, but I leave it kind of open. And so sometimes she'll come up with people that would normally never go on our list, during a season of time to spend money. It's like, oh, okay, and then I find a way that we can honor this, her desire to give a gift to this person who might not have made the list, for the budgetary reasons. And then we kind of work that out and figure those things out. And then, we discuss thoughtful things to give to other people. But I don't think that her love language is ever going to be gift giving. That's just not something I think that she naturally is geared towards. So it's always interesting to watch her kind of think about what she would want to give people, but you have one of your kids is a very natural gift giver.
Yeah, the 6-year-old, like she'll give things that she loves away because someone else cares about it.
One of my favorite moments was some of the girls in our Coop group, they got matching dolls and my daughter wasn't there, and it was your littlest, your 6-year-old, who's not my daughter's BFF,
right?
But the little sister, she was the one who was having this heart for not wanting to have my daughter feel left out, and she was insistent that you had to go and get my daughter a matching one.
I still need to go do that, by the way.
And well, it's just for me, it was the thought. I was
I couldn't believe it. And it was a serious thing for her too.
Oh, yeah. And then being able to honor that in our kids as much as we can, and being able to encourage that love of giving, because it doesn't always have to be a gift either.
Right.
And so I always try to be careful with, well, what can you give that you don't have to spend money on, or what can you give that's important to them? Do you want to spend time with them?
Yeah.
Because we can give gifts of all kinds of things.
Yeah. And you don't want to make it about consumerism.
Right.
So, your daughter did something really cool for my 6-year-old when she had her birthday. She gave her a coupon. Yeah. And what was cool is that everyone honored the coupon. So the coupon said to my daughter, that Maisie could ask anyone in the household, of course with my permission if it was me, but anyone in the household to play with her and do whatever she wanted to do to play 3 times. And then to let your daughter know, to let Sophia know when she had done that and what it was.
Aww.
And that was really cute. And Maisie milked that for sure. So, and I remember Ruby being like, okay, well, I did that now. And she's like, oh no, the time is not up. We're still going.
Yeah.
We're still going. Yeah. So it was really cute. So, I remember making coupon books when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, I had suggested it to her, but I suggested she give a coupon for something that she would be giving, her time.
Well, she said it could be me, it could be, your siblings, it could be whoever,
But she handed it to you guys when you were in the car on your way.
I know.
So it's just so funny because she knew who would be, having to cash in those coupons.
Yeah. Well, and who doesn't? Who doesn't want to spend time with her,
Totally.
So that's one idea with kids is the coupon book, and they'll take it seriously if you take it seriously, and
Can I share a funny story?
Yeah.
So my husband decided to do that one year for his aunt who raised him. And I don't think he asked his brothers, but he made these coupons because she used to call the three of them Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Cute.
So he called them the Huey, Dewey, and Louie coupons. So for like handiwork around the house.
Oh, yeah.
And so he
great.
gave her these coupons. So this, grown man with his
idea.
own children made coupons for his, aunt. And
Did she use them?
Oh, well,
Okay.
first she had to show everybody her coupons. Look what they made me! Aren't my boys the best?
Aww.
And it's just so sweet because that obviously meant a lot to her.
Yeah,
She's an
it's
acts
so
of service
thoughtful.
for sure.
It's so thoughtful. Yeah. And so that's giving when someone receives in a way that, or receives a gift in a way that was given to them to meet their love language.
Yeah.
Like that's when you know
a
it's
special
golden
gift.
moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, so other things you can do with your kids besides like coupons, you could also do like a scavenger hunt.
Sure. Yeah.
So you can ask you can kind of put out some options for your kids, like, do you want to organize a scavenger hunt for your sibling or for a friend, or do you want to do like an adventure together?
Right.
So my kids won't hear this, so I'll say what we're going to do. So for Christmas, I know more than anything, they really love staying in hotels and going on little road trips. So, I think what Marcus and I are still figuring it out, but we're probably just going to go get a cabin in Big Bear for 2 nights, maybe 3, depending on time of year. But we're thinking of just even going in April when we can still do like the Alpine slide, go on a hike, maybe just stay at a hotel even and be able to swim in a pool because they love hotels, or cabins, but just seeing what our options are.
Sure.
And then giving them less to open. And,
Right.
So, that's a creative way to still get a family vacation, and we'll probably wrap it in a box and do that sort of thing. But for your kids, they can offer adventures to each other. Like they can offer, I'll take you on a hike. And then of course one of us would accompany them.
Right.
Or I'll push you in the swings for 20 minutes if you have a swing in your backyard. They can offer things like that, which would be like a coupon, I guess.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So something we do is we have them pick out a gift that's, we might say $10 or $15 or $20 or under $20. Which is we're using $20 as our thing this year. And then they have to give the amount of money of their age.
Ah, yes.
So my son who's 10, he'll have to give $10 towards both of his siblings' gifts total.
Right.
So at least that's going to hurt him a little bit, $10,
Yeah.
And
feels more real this year.
yeah, that's like 10 loads of laundry, or, that's 20 times of emptying the dishwasher, so, but then that gift will mean more.
Absolutely.
And we still want to get them a couple extra gifts anyway. So we're happy to foot the bill for the rest of it and have him feel like that came from him, and they get to pick it out and stuff. And then cards but like, Maisie just gave me a drawing lesson yesterday, and, she said that was her gift to me.
Oh.
And so she knew that was a gift, like her time and her lesson was a gift. So you just never know what could constitute, like you were saying, there's all different types of gifts that your kids can do. And then I was just telling you, I spoiled the surprise. Oh, I don't want to spoil it here though, what I'm going to do for the Coop Moms for Christmas.
Don't spoil it.
Okay, so I don't know if any of them actually listen. But
Maybe one.
Yeah, maybe one. And
We don't expect our
you
friends
know who
to
you
listen.
are, the one that listens, yeah. But something I've had the kids do to give family members is I've gotten a whole bunch of, you can buy these like, a dozen baseball caps that are like $2 each, and they're like the trucker, nice height ones, so men can wear them, and then they paint them, and I rotate them around, and I had like all the main men in our life, the grandpas and
I remember
dad,
the year
and,
you did that.
yeah, and the uncles, and I had them around the table, and then they had a certain section of each hat to paint.
That's cute.
And so then they just work their way around. And then I've done that with pillowcases as well.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
So for like a decorative pillow, and then I buy the decorative pillow, but then at least like it's this really cute thing that someone can throw on their couch or on a chair for a month or two, whatever they want to do. So anyway, so those are just like really fun ideas. Also, like flowers, seeds, candies.
Oh yeah.
Those are fun things to send. And yeah, any other ideas?
I mean, as a dance instructor who often gets lots of Christmas gifts, I will tell you that Starbucks has become like one of the number one. And so it's always nice. I don't go there very frequently. So it's sometimes something that I end up regifting. But in a meaningful way, I end up sharing it with my mom, and that's really sweet for her. And so it's still a wonderful gift. I never, dislike receiving that gift.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not going to use it. So it's nice to be able to move that forward. And so even just the thought, or even a card or something handmade by my students, just that they thought of me at such a busy time where they're thinking of their most special people was really sweet. So, I often try to give to other teachers and to give to the important people who are in my kids' lives.
Yeah.
Because they do matter to me.
Yeah.
And they're important. And so that's just a way of sharing how thankful we are.
Yeah.
And I like kind of thematic gifts.
Yeah.
So last year when our kids were doing our homeschool arts program, we put on our own version of the Nutcracker. And so I got little mini Nutcrackers for the other teachers too. Because I had a great time working with them and loved what they gave to our kids.
Oh, totally.
And so, I found little things that were funny because there's so many Nutcrackers out there now. I mean, have you ever gone to Hobby Lobby or Michael's?
Right, yeah.
I mean, you can find it practically any kind of Nutcracker. And so I found ones that were actually relevant to some inside jokes or something.
Oh,
and
cute.
yeah, so it was just really fun. And then there's Nutcracker chocolate, so I like thematic gifts and being able to kind of do things that have that personal touch, just to be able to say, like, I thought of you. I didn't go out and get everybody this cookie cutter gift, like
right,
and which I have done for
nice
sure.
Too, yeah,
like I've done the handmade. Gave everybody a corn on the dried corn on the
we
cob.
talked about that,
right? And so that one year, that was what all the teachers got.
It's super thoughtful, whatever it is, because
exactly.
And I remember after Nutcracker, because my kids were in it too, I was like, I should have gotten all the teachers something, and it was the end of the semester too.
Right,
so that would have been, the perfect time. And we didn't even know for sure what if my family was coming back, and so I just felt terrible that I didn't have anything for them just as a thank you. And then, of course, it being at Christmas time. So,
oh, well, that's the thing, is it feels like a bonus. I never expect to get gifts from my students.
Right.
But it's just such a sweet gesture to get one.
Well, and it's a lot of things people don't think about, because I remember, not to pat myself on the back or anything, but when the kids were little, at the end of the recital year, it was always me that said, "Let's collect for you."
Right.
And we weren't even close friends.
Not yet.
Yeah. And I would still try and do a collection. And someone told me, "Oh, she's really into Harry Potter." And I was like, huh. Because I didn't know about Harry Potter then. And I was like, an adult? It's really into Harry Potter?
Welcome. Welcome to the club.
Now I'm there. So, but yeah. And I think Amazon's a great gift too.
Oh, for sure.
And you could always ask your kids if they want to give towards the Amazon gift card,
Absolutely.
So, and make that really feel like it's from them. Okay, so let's talk about giving to people you don't know.
Sure.
Okay, so I want to mention Operation Christmas Child. We mentioned it in the previous episode in Thankfulness, but now I want to dive in a little bit.
Yeah.
So the drop off when this airs is like right now, basically November 16th to November 23rd. But basically what you need is a box, the shipping label you buy online for at Samaritan's Purse website. I think it's about $9, and then you can track it and everything. And you have to buy the shipping label, and you can print it off, and then you have to know where you're dropping off. And they usually have locations in most major towns and cities. You can pick what gender and what age range, and you can put together a box for a child in a developing country. And Samaritan's Purse also shares with them the good news that Jesus Christ came to earth as a baby to die on the cross for their sins. Right. And so that's also part of that. So you want to make sure that fits with your your belief system and everything
Exactly.
too. But we love it. We've done it numerous years. And last year my kids put together, we made a little YouTube of how to do it.
Right.
So we can link that in the podcast
Definitely.
and send people there. But it's really cute. And you can see the type of items we bought, and there's rules. Like you can't have liquids and you would do a glue stick. You wouldn't do an actual like Elmer's glue, like, liquid glue or anything like that. But it's just a really fun, neat way the kids pick out what they think, someone that age. Usually you pick the gender and age of your child.
Right, because they relate to that.
Yeah, and in the past we have spent about $50 a box. So it comes, and that's with going to Walmart and the dollar store.
Right.
But if you get a big enough shoe box, it actually fits a ton of stuff, and you're trying to fit a ton of stuff, and you need one wow gift in there.
Right.
Whether it's a really neat stuffed animal or a deflated soccer ball, and you put the air pump in it. Yeah. So, and that costs a legitimate amount of money. So this year, since we're actually giving to other things this year, I said, let's just do one. And they were super bummed. They really wanted their own. Then I said, well, if you want to give of your own money to buy stuff. And they're like, oh, no.
Never mind.
Never mind.
It's all fun when it's your money.
Yeah. So I said, then let's just do one. And we'll just do the girls, age range and gender. Because there's two beats the one, So we'll still be doing that. But it's a really great tradition for us. And we love doing it. So you said you've done the soccer ball one or like a football one?
Yeah, so we used to do Operation Christmas Child with my MOPS group. So the moms of preschoolers, our specific group, we would do it as a whole team or, table. So my table, we would decide on our age groups and genders of the child, and then we'd coordinate. So somebody would be getting all the individual tissues and the toiletries and that kind of thing, especially for the older children who they don't need deodorant, but who might want that or who might need other hygiene
even just a new pair of socks.
Absolutely.
We always put socks in it.
So we had one person kind of on those things, and then, someone would say, I'm going to take the soccer ball, and then other kinds of stuff for girls. The little treats might be, not nail polish because you can't send that, but other little fun items.
Yeah, you can do the stick-on nail.
Yeah, now they have the stick-on nails, and so that's a great little novelty item to put in there, along with, all the helpful things that they can really use.
So I really like the idea of doing it as a group. And one year I had a bunch of moms over. This is like when my kids were probably like 4 and 2 and barely born, you know. And what we did is we wrapped our shoe boxes that's what we were wrapping. So I had made sure I had all this different Christmas wrapping paper there, and we were wrapping our boxes. And that takes so much time that it's really not worth it. It's really just worth it to get the box that the company will send you.
They offer a box that you can get.
Or just get a plain. You can also buy like plain ones. So our church handed them out last year, the boxes, and you can decorate it with stickers and markers and things like that. And that's just a lot easier than wrapping. But I wanted to do a group thing, and that was the only thing I could think of us doing together, because everybody wanted a different age or gender or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do love, as a group, taking on one box together and having a list that maybe even the kids together could come up with a list that would fit. And maybe you do a boy one and you do a girl one, and the boys can do that, and everyone takes on one thing, and then it's not too expensive.
No.
It's something you can do as a group.
The collective idea is fun.
And maybe next year that's something we can do as our, giving back.
Yeah, this one always sneaks up on you. So it takes some real planning to make sure that you're organized ahead of time to be able to get it done. Because usually it's about this time that I'm just starting the process of thinking of my giving season. And then
it's too late for this because this one, it's in November.
Yeah, and I know I shared this with you before, but another fun thing that Samaritan mentioned on their website was if you're looking for those plastic shoe boxes too, for kids who need to carry water or have access to water, those types of plastic shoe boxes are really helpful for them.
Oh yeah, that's great. Especially the thicker ones that won't crack.
Yeah, not the that's where you don't want to go cheap dollar store on those, because I mean, how many of those have you broken?
Get the real rubber plastic ones, yeah. So there's something else too that we did last year is we did, we did it for Mother's and Father's Day, but we did cards to an assisted care facility. Yeah. So this year, I just actually, you don't even know about this.
No.
I just got off the phone talking with my contact at the assisted care facility. Yeah. And she's in the Alzheimer unit. And a number of the people that we've written cards to before have already died. Aww. But she does have a list to give us of people to do Christmas cards for. So that's what she asked for this year.
Okay, so instead of Thanksgiving.
Okay. I said we do Thanksgiving. And she's like, well, because what we want to do for Christmas is not possible. So,
right.
So because of COVID, we cannot go caroling at the assisted care facilities where last year we went caroling and we had over 20 of us, handed out candy canes, made ornaments and hung on their tree, and had a script in between the songs, and every song had something special, whether it was handing out the candy cane or doing an instrument, something that we did, So, and the kids dressed all Christmassy. That was a really neat thing. Yeah. And I'm glad we got to do it last year because who knows when we're going to be allowed to do something like that this year. But she can take cards. Okay. But I'm actually going to have them due on the same day that I was going to have the Thanksgiving cards due. Okay.
So I already have that in my calendar.
Yeah, so that they're done. And it's already on the calendar anyway. So I'm just waiting on the list from her.
Awesome.
So that's an idea. And then, of course, the caroling that I just mentioned. I grew up doing caroling. We would go and we would make an ornament.
Cute.
With my church group. And then we'd go across the street where the facility was.
Okay.
You could just walk across and we'd sing walking down the hallways because they couldn't even get out of their bed. And the ones who could would just stand in their doorway. And then we were allowed to go in their rooms. If their door was open, we were allowed to go in their rooms and hand them the ornament.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That would be fun one year to all make the same ornament, to do that if you're giving that to one person. You know, when we were doing put the ornament on the tree, it was great that we all made something different. But that's a cute idea too. It's another bonding moment of getting together with the heart and spirit of giving. You know, we're making this for others. This is not for you to keep. So, let's be thoughtful about that and pray over this craft and all that stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully we can do that next year. Yes. That'd be really cool. Okay, so another thing is Compassion International. So we went to, it's this organization that it's almost like Adopt a Child.
Right.
Or it basically is. But you are the only one who adopts that child. You're not sharing them. And it's, I don't know, $40 to $50 a month.
Yeah.
And you get to be a pen pal with them. So the child actually writes to you.
I had a little boy in India for a few years when I was in college. Yeah.
Oh, and through Compassion? Oh, funny. Yeah, so we did it a couple of years ago and we were terrible pen pals. And so finally when we would sit down to do it, we'd stick stickers in it and draw pictures and it was really fun. But we'd do 2 or 3 responses at this, because their letters kept coming and we were I was oops, I wanted to make it this big thing.
Right.
It's that paralysis by analysis. I wanted to do it really well, so we just didn't do it, so it wasn't.
Totally.
Yeah. So we had someone from Indonesia, and then they closed operations there. So then they wanted to hand us off to somebody else, and I said, "Oh, we've done it. We're going to try something else." Yeah. But it was a really neat experience. If you go to the Compassion Experience, they have these big rig truck, the backs, the crates, that have been rigged up to emulate the life of one of the children that grew up in the program.
Exactly.
And the one we went through, there was a mud doll, and that was her only doll. And it showed videos of her at the end, and she'd become a doctor.
Right.
All because, and then it showed her meeting the family that supported her.
Yeah.
So it was just really cool, very inspiring. And so, of course, you have to vet all these companies ahead of time and stuff like that. But also, I've heard of people adopting, families, not actually adopting them, but just the Boy Scouts. My sister's family were always part of Boy Scouts, and they had families that needed you to buy their Christmas gifts for them. So then they would get to go deliver them on Christmas Eve, all wrapped up, and they got the Christmas list from the kids, and they went and bought the gifts, wrapped them, and drop them off.
I know even locally on Facebook last year there was a family that lost their house several days before Christmas. And so many of us,
so sad.
many of us were able to get the wish lists of the kids and be able to find those items and give them to them so that at least they could have Christmas happen, even if they were kind of in this transitional place.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
Especially when it's local, like you can actually, experience the selfless act that gives back.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then there's also, you can buy animals for families in developing countries.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
So I love that. I love the idea of gifting a cow. I mean, think of a dairy cow, like,
Yes,
or
absolutely.
gifting chickens or goats for goat milk. And it's such a, it's teach a man to fish type of thing,
Right.
and not just giving a one-time thing, but something that keeps giving back to them. And it's not that expensive either. No. So that's pretty incredible as well. And then something we've done is we've made those little Ziplocs of homeless bags with like deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, the socks, multiple pairs of socks, stuff like that, and some granola bars, and then kept them in our car and then gave them to people just,
That you did counter. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just thinking the other day of how, we get rid of backpacks sometimes when they're almost in pristine condition because, now there's a Hello Kitty backpack.
Right.
And so one idea would be to, as long as it's not a Hello Kitty backpack, if it's a very gender neutral type of backpack, use that as your bag because I'm sure they could use a backpack.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd use a Hello Kitty one.
That's true, they would.
Yeah.
I mean, they're happy to get what they, what's given to them. So, but I was just thinking, or even just if there's one on sale you see for $9.99, have that be the bag you fill up that you give to somebody, especially when it's cold out, include a little fleece blanket in there.
Right,
and,
a reusable water bottle or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then also part of giving to, this is kind of a last category, is giving to God. Like for those who are in a faith, like we are,
right.
Like we give a certain percentage of our income every month.
Yep.
And, I read somewhere that it's a reminder of the blessings God gives us and gave to us through Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And we give it also in order just to be able to have a place to go worship,
right? To
have a pastor to preach to us. I mean, you do have to provide for their living,
right?
And then to know too that the money we give also goes to when something hard happens to a family.
Yes.
That's what I love about the church is that it provides for their actual members, their community,
the flock.
Yeah. And then it also tries to look out for the community outside of them. So they'll have, like right now our church is doing meal pickups. So anyone who needs a meal can come through on a certain day and a certain time and get meals.
Yeah.
And, we've had a family where the husband passed away and she has little babies, and so then they provided for her income for, she didn't need a GoFundMe page.
Right.
The
church was there
to help her. And so part of our giving is providing for that. Right. And I love the autonomy we have in doing that, versus having to have it go through a program.
Definitely.
They can just tell the church I need help with this. And they say, we have a fund for that.
Right.
And we can help you.
Yep.
So, so to think of that too, when at our church it's called the Deacons Fund.
Right.
When that comes around once a month or once every 6 months or whenever it comes around, give to it.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So, giving, reduces stress and depression. It promotes healthy social connection and a sense of purpose.
Yep.
And so, like I said earlier, it's the selfless act that gives back. And I love that little quote because it's so true. Like you are only better by doing it.
Right.
That's about what I thought of. Anything else to add?
I have one thing. So it's a category we didn't really have, but this topic came up in a planning meeting and I thought it was really important because, the idea of giving is often so much about, donating or gifts or giving of thoughtful acts. Mm-hmm. But really, on a day-to-day basis all year round, we're always kind of giving and taking from each other in relationship. And so relationship kind of gets its own category. We discussed at the very beginning the 5 love languages. So this is similar, but then there's this idea of pursuing one another as a way of giving, and so, there's always that friend who's the one who always makes the phone call, the friend who always does the inviting, the friend who is the pursuer of a relationship. And that's an act of giving. And, it's given to all kinds of different people. And so that's sort of the challenge sometimes is if you aren't a gift giver or you are not a pursuer personality, there's often this challenge in those relationships because the non-gift giver may not ever instigate anything in a relationship. I mean, in the extreme, anything.
Right.
And I personally go through seasons of pursuing and needing to be pursued. I think I tend towards having people pursue me. I don't as often, I would say no, but I'm not always an instigator, or my instigation comes from, I want to do something fun and I want to do it with that person rather than I need to have time with that person and I'm going to come up with something.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different sometimes. I have learned that about myself because I've realized, that I have certain friends who are almost always the ones who invite me to do something. And I at least say yes.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
But I may not always be the one to call first or to text first or anything.
Well, I have to say, as someone who is a pursuer of people, and when I don't feel like that's really lacking in you in our relationship. I mean, I can see I'm more of the pursuer,
right?
In that if we're looking at a balance. But like when you said, hey, Clueless is going to be airing.
Sure, right.
Let's all do that and dress like Clueless. It was like, that means a lot to the pursuers to be pursued back. And I've talked to you about this, not in a serious way, but mentioned it. And I've mentioned it to the spouse as well. That when you are a pursuer and you're giving in that way and making yourself available, like we also want it back. So eventually, if we pursue you so much and then you don't pursue back and you don't ever initiate, eventually, like it's just too exhausting for
Absolutely.
us. So eventually, like we will stop. And I've done that to a number of people, not even on purpose.
Right.
But
you valued their friendship, but you just could not always be the one to
and it wasn't even a cognitive decision. It was just like, oh yeah, I haven't seen them in like a year. Because if someone else started reciprocating,
right, you moved.
Then I veered that way. Because I got a response that, oh, they're pursuing me. Like, I'll see if they're now more on my mind.
Right.
And so I'm sure people who don't pursue or give in that way are wondering what happened to these friendships. But it's because they're not giving any feedback. They're not giving back.
Right.
And not that things should be tit for tat for sure. But at the same time, you need to show some interest.
Right.
For a lot of people to keep pursuing.
Right. The reciprocity doesn't have to be equal.
Right.
But it needs to be given. Yeah. And
right.
There needs to be some level of, reciprocal relationship. It can't just be a one-way street.
Right. Yeah. And, as much as I love being in charge and I love planning things, it's sometimes just nice to have someone else say, hey, I really want to go to this place.
Right.
Do you want to come? And then I could be like, yes. And then I'm not doing the reservations. I'm not doing the planning.
Yeah.
I just do it because nobody else is.
Yep.
So I love it when other people invite me to do things and I don't have to play a leadership role in it.
Absolutely.
So for all those people who don't pursue, keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's literally something that I put in my calendar sometimes to say, like, check in with so-and-so.
Oh, that's
check in
great.
with so-and-so because I know that in my normal day-to-day routine, that's not something that pops in my head. I have my really close relationships, my husband, you, my other, really close friends where something comes up spontaneously and I have to share it with that person.
Yeah.
It's relevant to our relationship. And so it comes up, or Clueless comes up and it's relevant relevant to our,
Right.
teenage years. And so it's important to share that. But otherwise, even just for something as small as like, hey, how are you? I'm really not as great as I would love to be. I mean, self-admittedly, I'm one of those terrible, I see a text come through and then I don't respond.
Oh, I know.
Or
You are not a texter.
I'm not.
Oh my goodness.
And I think I respond and I have every intention of responding and I respond in my head, but it never makes it out.
But you're not always willing to interrupt what you're doing though,
Right.
which is also a good thing.
Right.
Like you're not always just like, oh, this like interrupting
Yes.
something that's happening.
And I don't go back. I mean, so, 15 hours a week I'm teaching.
Right.
And many texts come in those hours because
Right.
it's early afternoon or mid-morning. And so those are very popular hours to reach out to your friend. And so that's always, I always tell people, if you text me during that time, I'm so sorry. Sometimes it gets buried. I might get 6 or
during
7
the night.
messages.
During the night.
Yeah,
too.
luckily I keep my phone off at night. So
Right.
when I wake it back up in the morning,
Then you can
they all
see it.
pop up.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's
that's
helpful.
nice. Yeah.
But yeah, if I've dismissed a new message or read it and then moved on, because sometimes I want to make sure something's not urgent. If something is urgent that I need to deal with, I
Right.
know to prioritize it. But if it's not urgent and I presume I'll get to it later,
Yeah.
it's
and
common to forget.
And friends and people in general just need to be understanding that, I'm sorry, what you need to know right now this second isn't someone else's emergency. So,
Unless I've completely dropped the ball and you have to know this thing at the moment.
But most things are not that way.
No.
And then if someone, so I think most people should be forgiving about that. And then it's nice when someone makes an effort to be,
Oh yeah. All my friends are very forgiving of it.
Yeah.
I think my mom might be the only one whose feelings get hurt sometimes if I forget to respond, and she can't remember my schedule on a day-to-day basis.
Well, she's your mom,
Right.
I mean.
And between
it's a little
homeschooling the
different.
kids, I think there's often this idea that you are available, but I'm not.
No, yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're still in full-time
Right.
jobs.
Right.
if you
I'm
wanna
using
call it
my
that.
phone to listen to our audiobook for the day, or, I'm not around my phone because I'm with the kids. And so, yeah, but there's all kinds of reasons. But again, it's just something I know about myself, that I have to be intentional with reaching out to people that I care about, because I do value those relationships.
Right.
And I know I don't as naturally pursue that type of,
Right.
relationship necessarily.
But then, and then when you do though, like I mentioned, it means a lot,
Yeah.
and it's enough.
Right.
It is enough. Like it's not like you have to do it all the time.
Right. If you're close, you know my heart.
Right.
I know
Oh,
that
yeah,
I care
totally.
about you and I'm a
Yeah.
long-term friend.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Well, I think Marco Polo is really great for that. Actually,
It's
because-
helpful. I can do it in the car.
Yeah, and it's just easier because you're not having to catch someone on the
Right.
phone, and I mean, I tell people happy birthday through Marco Polo now,
Yeah.
because I know, well, I can try and call them, but they're, I'll just leave them on Marco Polo,
Right.
You know,
It's just easier.
yeah. So I love that you mentioned that at the end here, because that's a big part of the give and take of friendships in marriages,
Right.
But then also even with our children,
Yes.
it's a good skill to develop in your children to ask people questions. So, and want to learn about them and give of themselves in that way, saying, actually, I do care about you.
Right.
And so, Ruby got in the car and after ukulele, and I was like, how was ukulele? Or I said, what'd you do at their house
Right.
this time? So she told me. And then she was quiet, and I said, well, and then now you say,
Right.
what did you guys do?
Right.
And that is a form of giving. It's
Right.
giving of
Yes.
yourself and your ears
Yeah.
and your heart to hear about another person besides yourself.
Exactly.
And I said, I'm trying to teach the kids, whatever someone asks you, you ask the same question back, because they might be asking you not just because they're interested in you,
Right.
but they might be excited to tell you something.
Right.
So
they
you
have
ask that
something
same-
they want to share.
Yeah, ask that same question back. So
Yeah, I agree. My two kids are very different. My 2.5-year-old already asks me, "Hi, Mama, how was your day?"
Aw.
I know he gets that from my modeling
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
But he
That's so
wants
sweet.
to hear about it. You were teaching today? He'll ask me, "You teaching today?" you know, and he'll then tell me about his day. But my older one, yeah, she's not as natural at that. So it's something that she has to learn, you know, and being able to give them ideas for how to kind of give thoughtfulness in that way is helpful.
Yeah.
Like I'll help her, like if you don't really care to ask that person, what did you do? Ask them something else.
Yeah.
Did you have a good day? You know, did you do anything interesting? You know, or find something that you do really care about because you do love that person.
Right.
So surely there's something.
You want to get to know them, you know. And I'll often prep my kids before we show up somewhere. So like before church, I know the family went camping that we're going to see.
Right.
And I can say, oh, ask them. You can ask her friend of that family.
Right.
How was camping? That's something you can ask. Did you get to surf like you wanted to?
Right.
You know, and I help her with those questions. So then when she sees her, they can talk about it. And I mean, I've given that advice to adults.
Yep.
You know, and not that I'm this amazing social, emotionally intelligent person, because I definitely sometimes rate on the spectrum. I'm sure of it.
No.
But
we all have our challenges.
Yeah. So, but I think before you show up to a group setting where your friends are going to be, look at their Facebook pages or Instagram pages and just take note of what they've been involved in lately, because people post what's important to them or what they're proud of
or what they want to share.
Yeah. So those are great things to ask about. Like, oh, I saw you just got back from such and such. How was it? And be ready with those questions. If you're not a normal pursuer, if you're not a normal question asker, that's something you can do very easily because they've already put themselves out there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so should we do our joys?
Yes. Let's see.
I gotta find my list of joys.
I know, it's getting longer these days. Oh! So my joy is that with the upcoming giving season, we had the really strong desire to start purging and talking about that with my daughter.
Oh, I love it.
She's not as natural a purger. And we had this like amazing revelation because I said she was complaining about reorganizing the toys. You know, she's got like 5 bins. One is for the dolls, one is for the Lego, one is for, you know, different things. But then inevitably they all
mixed up.
So every once in a while we pull them all out and I say dump them all.
Oh yeah.
Then put like with like and we put them
only
together.
put back in what you love. You know? Yeah.
And so at some point she was not enjoying the task. And I said, well, you know, you don't have to keep any of it. If you're not interested in having to clean this stuff up all the time,
exactly.
You know, just because you do have fun playing with it doesn't mean you actually need it in the house.
Right.
And you know what she said to me? She said, oh, that's a great idea. You know what I like more? Books.
Oh,
done.
I love it.
Okay. And then, I mean, no joke. She went from keeping 5 Barbie type dolls to just giving them all away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So now we have this huge giveaway pile of her things that she was willing to part with because she realized on her own with prompting from me that it's just not important.
Yeah, I mean, it's the opportunity cost of space and time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. She's constantly having to clean it up. And if it's not even bringing her that much joy, it only comes out when certain people are over and that's just something they pick.
Right.
Then maybe it's time to let it go.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that.
It's coming. It's coming along.
And I find watching the KonMari Method.
Right. Yeah.
That show. She probably only, there's 1 or 2 that has kids in it.
Sure.
So you could like curate it first and see which one.
Yeah.
Have her just watch one of them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I've never watched it myself. So
it's just a fun show, and I'd read the book and everything too. But that really motivated my kids when we did that series. They were really excited.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's really cool. I not that you're asking. And she did it without getting paid, but I will often give my kids a bag and say $5 if you fill this bag up.
No, that's a great incentive. I think that would have actually gotten her to the task even faster.
But at least she learned a more valuable lesson instead of just getting paid to do it.
She was able to uncover what she actually values.
Yeah.
You know, the toys she doesn't value. She values the time and the play and the imagination she uses on those toys, but she doesn't need them.
And you can do it with, like, I mean, my daughter, who's just like yours, like
everything.
It could
Paper
be,
clips.
It could be at 2 pins. All
Yeah.
of a sudden, they're people.
She used to have a water bottle, and it would talk to me in the car.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, they're so similar.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she doesn't need those toys to be imaginative, creative, and have free play opportunity.
Right.
But I had to get her to realize it. So it was a very big joy, a very big win for our house.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
It does.
So my joy is my 6-year-old took a journal that she never really used much of, and she turned it into an activity book for me. The entire thing.
Every page there's
So,
an activity
she leaves
for you.
a space for me to. So on the how to draw like a pencil or a flashlight, she has the 1, 2, 3, 4 with
Okay.
parts of it. So then she has that sheet next to it blank, and then she shows the final on the back side of that
That's
sheet,
awesome.
and then the next one starts.
So that is commitment. That's where the 2 older girls of ours.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have that level of commitment. They move on to another idea too
Oh yeah,
fast.
totally. Yeah, so she did that whole book, and then
amazing.
as gifts for her siblings, she said, "I want to make an activity book for them." So this is outside the budget of the $20 thing. I ordered the 2 journal sheets. She picked out a cat one for my daughter and a train one for my son, and they came in Sunday and Monday. She's already filled them up with their activities for their Christmas gift.
She's so
So
sweet.
don't listen to this in front of any kids
Right,
that we know, because
right.
that's their.
That
yeah,
is
so
so
she was
sweet.
so excited. No one was allowed in my room because that's where she was doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just so
And it's
cute.
done. It's mid-November and she's done.
Yeah.
With that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So that just brought me joy that she's so thoughtful, and it was so creative, such a creative way. And she comes in and I do 2 of her activities a day in my book.
Very
It's
special.
next to my bed. Yeah.
Oh, so sweet. I
It's
love
really
it.
cute. All right. So, and such a great example of giving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.